Have you ever played an action game where your most efficient traversal and attacking methods are on a management bar? This is the experience that Project TP is trying to create for the player. Project TP will be a 2D action platformer. Guacamelee, Ori and the Blind Forest, and Cuphead all influence the game's aesthetics. The player will have a player HUD where they can see their health and management bar. I have chosen a modern superhero theme for this game. The player will have basic attacks, which include punching and kicking. The player will also have energy attacks, which include a ground slam and an energy blast. They can use these attacks in a variety of ways to combo enemies and bosses. The player will be able to walk, run, roll, and climb as basic movement. The player will also get a dash, a charge, and a double jump. These abilities can be used to maneuver around levels and enemies. The player will lastly be able to block. The player will want to block so that they can block energy attacks. Basic moves require no energy, but energy moves will deplete the energy bar. Once the energy bar is fully gone, the player will not be able to use energy moves anymore. The management bar will refill slowly over time, but the player will want to actively block damage to fill the management bar up faster. When the player double jumps, the second jump will take away from the energy bar. The basic attacks are fast, short range, and deal low damage, but can combo. And the energy attacks are slower, longer range, deal high damage, then they can't combo. The player will want to use these as a starter and or a finisher move. There will be basic enemies, energy enemies, and bosses. The basic enemies will do normal attacks, which are slower, weaker, and more predictable. If they are blocked, the player won't absorb any energy, but they will receive chip damage. The energy enemies will do energy attacks, which are faster, stronger, and way less predictable. If the player blocks these attacks, they will receive double chip damage, but the management bar will increase. The bosses will have energy attacks and basic attacks. He will also have patterns and way more health than any of the other enemies. Typical gameplay will have the player involved in combat with multiple enemies or a single boss. Players will have to decide if they want to block energy attacks to receive double chip damage or dodge the energy attacks altogether. The player will also have to decide if they want to take out the enemies with basic attacks or use energy attacks and deplete their management bar. The player's main objective is to defeat the enemies, the bosses, and beat the level. Sub goals for the player would be to fill the management bar and maintain it over 70%. That way, they can receive boosts such as more damage and health regeneration. Another sub goal would be to take no damage during combat. That way, the player can receive a boost to energy gained after the combat ends. I was influenced by Cuphead and Guacamelee for the view and genre of this game. These games do not have a management bar, which separates them from Project TP. Overwatch is the game that influenced the management bar, but the management bar in Overwatch refills based on damage and heals rather than attacking and blocking damage. There are a few risks with making this game. Balancing the management bar could be tricky. If we can't get it right by the first month, we will just have it refill over time. Enemy AI is a risk as well. If we can't get this fixed by the first 2 months, we will simplify it greatly and have the enemies run up and attack the player. Complex boss AI will be tricky as well. If we can't get this done by the second month, then the bosses will be taken out and we'll only have basic enemy AI.